Hey, what's up, guys? It's Jordan with the Laundromat Resource Podcast. This is show 171, and I'm pumped you're here today. Today, we have back on the show Sharon Brinks, who comes to tell us all about her brand new build. But she also is coming to tell us a little bit of a personal update and how that has influenced her her business and building out this laundromat and all of that, along with a little public service announcement. So super good episode today. You may have seen Sharon Brinks around at different events. Her and her husband, Steve, are usually at all the events, and she's been on the podcast, and, she's around, she's on the Facebook groups and all that stuff. So super good to have her back on. Lots of really good stuff. A lot of stuff that they learned from building out this second build out of a laundromat, and shares a lot of good details there. And also just, like I said, that personal update. So we're going to jump into it with Sharon right now. I know you're going to love this episode. And real quick, today's fast lane tip is we've got a live Q&A October 1st, which is the day this thing is coming out. So if you're listening to it right when it's coming out and you want to join the pro Q&A, go to laundromatresource.com/pro. And tomorrow, October 2nd, is our mastermind induction group. So about every 4 to 6 weeks, we do a new mastermind induction group where we launch new mastermind groups. These things have been transformative for so many people. It's an opportunity to get into a small group of people at whatever phase in the process you're at, whether you own one laundromat, multiple laundromats, or trying to buy your first. You can get in with some like-minded people that can help support you, that can help keep you accountable to taking the actions you need to take to hit your goals. Like I said, all the time, actions, what leads to our success and us achieving our goals, whether that's problem solving different things, and just, encouraging. This can be a difficult and lonely journey when you're a business owner. So having a small group of people that you meet with on a regular cadence can be life-changing. I've said this before, I pay tons of money every single year so that I have that personally. And listen, this is all included in the pro community. So check out laundromatresource.com/pro. If you want to jump in. And this round of mastermind induction groups, we'll be launching another one in no time. If you didn't make it for this one, let's jump into it with Sharon Brinks today, right after this.
What's up, laundromat owners? This is John here with Business Marketing Resource. Are you looking to keep your machines humming and your business thriving? Well, I've got a quick marketing tip that can make a real difference. Focus on your Google business profile. And here's why that matters. When a potential customer searches for a laundromat, your Google business profile is often the first thing they see. So keep it up to date, make sure your hours are accurate, your contact info is correct, and upload some fresh photos of your facility. Also need to encourage satisfied customers to leave reviews. The more active and appealing your profile, the more likely you are to attract new business. Now, if that sounds like something you'd rather have handled by professionals, that's where we come in. At Business Marketing Resource, we specialize in helping laundromats like yours shine online. From enhancing your Google presence to building a professional website, we've got the tools to help you stand out in your community. Are you ready to take your laundromat to the next level? Well, visit buildwithbmr.com today and let's get started.
Today is a great day, of course. How are you doing, Sharon?
I am doing awesome. Thank you, Jordan, for having me on again. This is the second time.
Yeah, well, a lot's been going on your end of things all over the place. And we've sort of been talking about it for a little while. And I was like, we got to let people know what you guys got going on over there, in your neck of the woods over there. So thank you for taking the time to come back on and share what you're going to share today.
No problem. Yeah, we opened our second store a month ago. So with each store opening, hopefully I can be on a little more often than that. But with each store opening, I get to come on again. So second store, second appearance.
Yeah, and that's one that you guys built out, right?
We did. This one was, we bought the property November of 22, and it had been a veterinary clinic. And then we finally got it open the end of August of 24. So It's been a long, ugly process, but we should have bulldozed the whole building. Not that there's anything wrong with the building so much. It's just putting a square peg in a round hole. Yeah. It was a former veterinary clinic, and we turned it into a laundromat and then a pickup and delivery processing facility in the back. So we should have just scraped it and built what we wanted.
So Something you said for start from scratch sometimes.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to dig into that for sure and talk about that whole process. Cause if something's taking you like a year and a half plus, there's a saga behind it. So we're going to have to get into the saga.
Gosh,
and how it's been. But before we jump into it, give us a little update, or actually maybe let's start here. Do a quick little overview of who you and Steve, Steve, your husband too, who you guys are, just in case people haven't heard your first episode, and then we'll jump into what's been new.
Yeah. So Steve and Sharon Brinks, we live in Wichita, Kansas. I bought my first laundromat in January of 14, so a little over 10 years ago, going on 11. I was a single mom with 2 kids. Steve and I were just dating. Despite the fact I had bought a laundromat, he still asked me to marry him. So that was kudos to him. Yay. Even though clearly I demonstrated my crazy level. Bought a laundromat.
You got to be a little weird to be in this industry, I think. I think that's like a prerequisite. If you're not a little weird, you should probably go somewhere else.
It does help. You don't have to be crazy to work here. We'll train you. It's kind of like that. If you weren't crazy to start with, you will be at the end. Yeah. So bought a little rundown mat in a town outside of Wichita. That was a great training ground. I learned a ton from it. It needed some new equipment, some upgrades, some paint, cleaning, TLC, and learned so much from that. And then we did get married. We moved into Wichita, built our flagship store, laundry station, Kellogg and Oliver, right in the middle of town, middle of Wichita. And then decided we didn't want the distraction of the other small ones. So we wanted to focus on Wichita. So we sold the equipment there, sold the building, and then focused entirely on Wichita. 4.5 years ago, April of 2020, we started pickup and delivery service as a separate company, Laundry Express. Well, it sounded like it was on purpose, but in 2019, the end of it, we were thinking about delving into that. Yeah. And then we knew at the end of the year, we'd make a go, no-go decision. And we said, okay, we're going to go for it. And then pandemic, hit full force. And so the timing just happened to be that way. So 4.5 years later, we're still doing pickup and delivery as a separate company. And we operated out of that one large laundromat in the middle of town. It was nice and centralized. Then we bought this other property, November 22, developed it out, and we just about 3 weeks ago moved our pickup and delivery processing down to that store. We only had a small corner in the existing store that we operated out of, and we were out of room. So now we've got like 3,000 square feet in the back of the building to operate out of. So we can spread out and do whatever we want down there. So, and then we also do drop off at both of the stores too. So self-service, drop off, and pick up and delivery. So
how far are those two from each other?
About driving wise, or is it 5 miles? I can't remember if that's as the crow flies or driving wise, but it's amazing how many people we're finding at the new store. It's on South Seneca, south part of Wichita, South Central part, who have been driving all the way to our other store just to come, do their laundry. They drive past at least 3 other laundromats to get to our store. And that's been amazing. So we expected those stores' sales to go down a smidge, and they have just a smidge, but that opens it up for more people to come in and fill in. So that's actually been really nice. And people have, thanked us for opening down there. That part of Wichita rarely gets anything new, at least, especially with this much money invested into it. Not just a pop-up little vape shop or, a little retail store that goes in that really hasn't put anything into it except for maybe some fixtures. Right. So, yeah. So here we are. We're a laundry. Steve's a structural engineer. He actually just spoke at the Laundry CEO conference on water.
That's right.
Having
awesome too.
Adequate water supply to your laundromat's kind of an important thing, and something near your heart.
One of the variables that you probably should have in your laundromat.
Yeah, kind of important. If you have too small a line, you'll find out really quick. So, anyway, that was he just loves to nerd out on that kind of stuff. So Yeah. So that was fun. So that's how I got in the laundromat business and how we got where we are today. And so second store has been well received and doing okay. So we'll go through all those, everything I went through with that here shortly. So
yeah, I was gonna say, like I said, we're gonna dig into that one a lot. In case anybody is listening to this and has not heard the first interview with Sharon, it's a fan favorite. Episode 101, laundromatresource.com/show 101, which I didn't realize it was, that was a lot of episodes ago now.
It was. Yeah. You're busy. You're a busy guy.
That was a long time ago. But I was just looking through, while you were chatting, I was looking through the highlights and I was like, man, we talked about using an SBA loan to buy a laundromat, retooling, building from scratch, selling versus shutting down a laundromat, because you didn't sell your laundromat, you sold the building, not the laundromat, you shut it down. Talked about factors to consider when building from scratch, customers when you open a new build, which we should talk about again, because I'd be interested to see how that went or is going for you now. Running a great line, like building a team, promoting wash dry. Like we talked about a lot of stuff, which is why I think it's one of the fan favorites and another great reason to have you back on.
I think, Jordan, when you get either of us talking about laundry, it's hard to shut us up, isn't it?
I know.
I'll just keep going.
At least your spouse likes, talking laundry and stuff.
He tolerates it well. He seems to.
He's like on stage. Like my wife is like, I don't even want to, she hears my voice in the background, like, what's up, guys? It's Jordan. And she's like, oh my gosh.
Oh, not again.
Real quick, kudos to Steve for his seminar, and kudos to Waleed too for putting on an incredible laundry conference. It was
amazing. Yeah.
Next level conference over there. That was great.
Yeah.
So way to go, Waleed. Okay. Before we jump into the new build stuff, personally, I know some stuff's been going on with you personally and health-wise and stuff. I thought I'd just give you a chance to, fill us all in on how so many people in this industry. And so catch us up on how you're doing personally.
Well, funny you should mention it. So I've told like a very tiny handful about what's going on. So this year's been kind of interesting. So I wanted to start out this with my public service announcement for ladies, especially. Guys, if you know a lady, and chances are you do, you have a wife, a sibling, mom, daughter, grandma, whatever. Ladies, get your mammograms every single freaking year when you're supposed to. I'll be 61 next month. This is where we at. This is September of 2024. I'll be 61. Have my mammograms every single year, always clean. And you're just tempted to skip them, right? Well, surprise. This year in April, had a suspicious area. They called me to come back and have some more pictures taken and a sonogram. So went back in, and they're like, yep, we don't like what we see. Come back in and have a biopsy. Okay, fine. So we had the biopsy. Yep, came back malignant. I found out the day after Mother's Day in May of this year. Have one tumor, one breast, one spot. It's just one spot. My oncologist says there's less than a 1% chance that it was spread anyplace else. So we caught it early. But it was 25 millimeters in size, so 2.5 centimeters. Pretty good size one. There was nothing there last year. It is what's called HER2 positive. So I'm just going to go into this a little bit just to tell you. It's not.
Oh, please do.
The C word is scary. Yeah. But my first thought when I got the diagnosis was, well, number one, I cuss too much as it is, but it was, I don't have time for this. I'm trying to open a new laundromat. I do not have time for this. And then my second thought was, okay, you've picked on the wrong person. This cancer, just no. So, and I think I've proven that now. So, so is HER2 positive? There's the dreaded triple negative. This is not triple negative. Triple negative is the ER, and I think the other one's PR, and then HER2 are all negative, and that's really hard to treat. Mine is HER2 positive. It is treatable, very treatable. However, HER2 positive is very aggressive and very fast growing. So it's very important that we just jump on it as fast as we could, as fast as insurance would let us, jump on it. So End of June, I started chemo for that. I have chemo. I have 6 treatments. I have chemo every 3 weeks on a Monday. The 4 laundry conferences that were scheduled for this summer. One of them was before I started chemo, and the other 3 are on the weeks that I had chemo. How does that even happen? So the very first,
and pick those dates.
I know these have been planned forever in advance, and Monday I'm okay. They give you some really good anti-nausea drugs and stuff that makes you feel good. And the first 2 IV bags, I have 4 IV drip bags. First 2 are just steroids and stuff to make the medicines work okay. And then the next 2, one's docetaxel, which is the one that makes your hair fall out, and more on that later. And then carboplatin, which is another chemo drug. Then I get a Phesgo shot in my leg and a steroid shot in my belly, and I look like a pincushion when I leave. So Monday's okay. Tuesday, I feel good. Wednesday, okay. Thursday, I start to fall off the cliff. And by Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I just want to sit and stare at the wall, which that's not me. I am go, 100 miles an hour. I can't, and with this, I can't think. I have no energy. It's just lay there and watch TV, which is weird for me. If it's daylight hours, I got to be productive. So, the Simmonses, we went to the curbside laundry event. Bless your heart, guys. That was an amazing event. And I did miss the first day of it. I was in the hotel room, just pretty much bedridden. I was not kidding. I really did have a UTI from the worst one I've ever had. And it really was because my doctor had started me on new medications that Monday. I just neglected to tell you the fact that was chemo. So chemo was Monday. Thursday was just hideous. And then Friday, I felt good enough. I could, I was on antibiotics by then. I could attend it. By the Laundry CEO conference, I was prepared. I had medications, I had antibiotics, I had everything. I was good to go. A lot of exhaustion, but I still made it. And then this last week was the CLA's Wash Dry Fold conference. And we had just opened the store 3 weeks prior. And I knew I was going to be falling off the cliff and having no energy by the end of the week. So we decided in advance just to skip that one. So nothing against, it had nothing to do with not wanting to go to it, but we love visiting with everybody. The timing was bad just because of the store opening. And yeah, I had chemo that Monday. So glad we missed it because I was wiped. Every one of them's a little worse. The recovery's a little worse than the one before. So where are we at now? So I've now had 5 chemos. I've got 1 more to go. Today, actually, we're recording this on September 26th of 2024. My last chemo will be October 7th. I'm scheduled for a lumpectomy, no mastectomy involved, on November 7th. So it'll just be a little lump where they put a titanium marker in when they did the biopsy so I can tell where it is, if there's anything left of the lump. So go in, take out some tissue. They'll take out tissue from the sentinel node, lymph node in my armpit. Take that off to pathology, see what we got. Is there anything left of the lump? There could be some of the lump there, but the tissue could all be dead. All the cells dead, not tissue dead, but all the cancer cells could be dead, my oncologist really expects nothing to even be there anymore. So I did have a mid-chemo sonogram right in the middle there, like 2 days after my 4th one. The 25 millimeter tumor was already down to 8. It has shrunk by 2/3 already. So the treatment's working. So yay. This is not all for nothing. So I haven't had any nausea, none of the vomiting, stuff like that. Mild, all things considered, mild side effects. I'm kicking its butt. It's not kicking me. So I'm, I've been pretty pleased with the treatments and really happy we have good insurance because the EOBs are enough to make you want to faint, but we really haven't had to pay a whole lot on it, thankfully. But yeah, some of the usual side effects, but fairly mild. And I know by now, okay, so many days afterwards, I'm going to have this, then I'm going to recover, and then I'll have this, and then I'll recover. And it's like the side effect du jour. What am I going to have now? Today it's zits on the face. Today I can't move. My legs feel like they're about 100 pounds apiece. And everything tastes gross, which has been really good for the scale because I can't eat a whole lot right now. But when I get my taste back, I'll probably gain about 20, 30 pounds because I'll eat everything in sight. But right now, we're okay with that. So once the results from the lumpectomy come back, then I will have, we thoroughly expect to still have radiation. I'll have radiation Monday through Friday for 3 weeks, just very targeted in that one spot where it used to be. And then after that, I'll have Phesgo shots, which Phesgo is the drug that's targeted to HER2 positive tumors and for that particular cancer. And I'll have one shot every 3 weeks, and I'll have 11 of those. So, several months of that. So the important thing to that is when we have cruises, I have to plan the cruises around the Phesgo shots. So it'd probably only be a 2-week cruise instead of 3-week cruises. So, and if you know me, Steve and I like to go on cruises. So we'll manage somehow. It's a first world problem, but we'll figure out how to fit those cruises in there between the shots. But so yeah, I'm on the downhill side of treatment. We're getting there. So, but the most distasteful. I mean, I've had so many compliments on, oh, your new hairstyle is so cute, thank you. And it's like, yeah, it's so much easier to manage. And whenever I've responded, I've been totally honest. Yes, it is much easier to manage because, okay, here's what Sharon looks like, completely bald. Yeah, it's ugly.
You have a great shaped head. You're like, I feel like
that's what my hairstylist said. I'm like, really? Okay. Yeah. But hey, look, I'm Joe Dan Reed. I'm rocking the Joe Dan Reed and Randy Roberts.
Scary how close it is.
Yeah.
You and Joe. You guys need to get in the same room together and get a picture together.
When we were at the Curbside Conference, they don't know this, but Joe Dan and Randy, I had my picture with both of you guys because I just had chemo a few days before and I knew I'd lose my hair. That was because I knew I'd look like you very soon. That was on purpose, but you didn't know that. So here you go. This is for you guys. So
that is great.
So this is Sharon, bald as a baby's butt. Yeah, it's weird. Summers in Kansas are hot and brutal. It's been kind of nice. Yeah. Winter coming up, not going to be so nice. I'm going to have to wear a stocking cap. Yeah. But 3 months after my last treatment, which will put it in the first part of January, it should start growing back in. So by April or May or so, I should have a little short hair, and my hairstylist will fix it to something short. It'll be probably gray and curly, so it'll look weird, but hey, at least it'll be. Oh, and this is my own hair. I have a receipt. So.
Yes.
I have a receipt. So anyway, if you ladies get those mammograms every year, don't skip it because it's been okay every year. Yeah, it's been okay for me for 15 years too. And now, surprise, the older you get, the more at risk you are. I have no idea why. Got it. Don't know why, but had I not went ahead and got it this year, it is a rapid, very aggressive, fast-growing cancer. Next year, I don't know what I would have been dealing with. One very comforting thing that I read, or explained a lot, I think, and I'm one, I have to have all the information. I have to have the details, and I read and I research everything all the time. Nobody ever dies from breast cancer. Okay, you can have a tumor the size of a basketball on your breast, and you're not going to die from that. That will not kill you. What kills you is when it gets away from the breast and it spreads through the lymph nodes into vital organs. Then you got a problem. Then you got to try to nail it down. Now it's spread. Now that's like, we're in the Midwest. The cows are out of the barn now. Now you got to, now you got to get that one and that one and that one. So get that, we're just getting that one spot and nuking it and should be fine. So I'm not worried about it. I was perfectly healthy to start with, just showed up on a mammogram, and that's the only way I even knew I was there. So have your mammograms, guys. Ask your significant others, all the ladies in your life, tell them, don't ignore it because you've never had a bad one. You never know what's growing. So that's it. Now, if Jordan will pause this, I'll put my hair back on.
Well, yeah. While you're doing that, I'll chat and we'll just cut away from you.
Okay.
Or I'll tell you that, and then we.
I don't want to gross out anybody. So,
No.
I've had somebody tell me I look like Heisenberg. I think that's the name. Yeah.
That's right.
And Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
I look like Heisenberg. So
yeah, give us a serious look real quick. Like, yeah.
This is my mom look for teenagers.
It's uncanny. Glasses on, you're Joe Dan Reed. Glasses off for Bryan Cranston in Breaking Bad.
They're not wrong. So okay, I'll put my hair on.
Yeah, well, and I appreciate you. I appreciate you bringing that up. First of all, I just want to say, thank you for sharing that. I know that can be tough to share. And I wanted to give time for that too, because we're community here. This industry, we are a community, and that's what this is about, right? Like, we want to talk laundromats. We want to hear about your new laundromat. We're going to do that. But this is a community, and we're people that, care about each other and want to support each other. And, the whole premise behind these conferences that, we attend, the podcast, like all this stuff, right, is to help each other build happy, healthy lives, right? Like, build the lives that we want. And
it's the networking and the relationships with people that you build, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we happen to all have the same vehicle of laundromats, right? Or at least one of the vehicles that we share in common, or trying to share in common if you're trying to buy your first one.
Yeah.
But really it's about the people, right? So I wanted to, emphasize that and take some time to really this is community here that we're doing. So I appreciate you sharing that. And I also appreciate the PSA, because, my mom had, breast cancer. She went through the chemo. She lost her hair, all similar things. Right. And they caught it early. She's around, she's happy, she's healthy. She's, just a few years, older than you. And, is riding her bike hundreds of miles a week and stuff, like, just healthy and happy, but
healthy people. Yeah.
But it's important. Like you said, it's important, to do the things we need to do to take care of ourselves, even when it's scary. Yeah. Like, it can be scary to go do something like that and find out information like that. But if you do, you have more of an opportunity to do something about it early on.
Yeah. And it's amazing how prevalent it is. You'd be talking to somebody at the grocery store. Oh yeah, I had that. I had a mastectomy, and so-and-so. It's our plumber on this new build. His wife is a few years past it, and she's had a double mastectomy. I'm like, I had no idea. So it's still kind of a taboo thing. Nobody really wants to talk about it. It's not like, I don't have a T-shirt that says, ask me about my breast cancer. I just, but nobody really, the more awareness you bring, it's kind of like there's this huge, there's been a huge push, like October's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. That has helped a lot. There's a huge push for colon cancer awareness as well. There's actually a person in our industry, I'm not going to name who it is, because I think he's keeping it really quiet, and it's his news to share, but he has stage 4 colon cancer. Has been given, a very short time frame to live. So he's been kind of on the down low, but it's here. People have it, and whether they want to talk about it or not, it's a totally personal thing. But with me, if I was terminal, I don't know that, we would probably be sitting here having this podcast. I'd be outside, it's sunshiny, I'd be on the deck enjoying my time. But okay, not that I'm not enjoying my time here, Jordan, with you. I'm enjoying my time here.
I won't take offense to it.
That came out wrong. Yeah. But I'd be enjoying my time in a different way.
Yes.
But it's prevalent. I mean, it's scary how much cancer's out there right now, but it's never been more treatable. So 20 years ago, HER2 positive, this might have been a death sentence. Who knows? But I'm calling it my speed bump on the road to life right now. That's all it is. It's okay. It's okay. My hair will come back. I hope.
It will. It will. My mom's did, so I think you're good. It'll come
there we
back.
Go.
It'll come back. No,
I don't know that it'll be nice and thick and blonde again, but we'll see. Yeah. It'll be a change.
A new adventure, New adventure. See what the hair. Maybe we could all take bets on what the hair looks like when it comes back.
And it'll be curly and gray, and then it'll be a matter of whether I treated it. It's color treated, so I'm not a natural blonde. It was to cover the gray. So.
Yeah. Well, okay. I appreciate you sharing all that and being just kind of open, honest, vulnerable. about that and filling in, the people. It's hard when you're a part of a community like this too, where we're all spread out all over the country and you don't see people, super often and all that stuff. So sometimes being able to just kind of fill everybody in at once too is is good. So all right, I'll pause here and I'll give you a chance to go, freshen up a little bit.
I'll freshen up a little bit.
Talk about this new laundromat you got going on.
Okay, awesome.
All right, she's back. Yay. Looking like a superstar again. Although I gotta say, I might just stick with the bald look if I was you. Like if my head shape was like that, I might just show it off.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Okay.
Steve actually likes it. I'm like, I don't know. I'm not doing that. But I am envious of all you guys with like really short hair or no hair. It is super easy to take care of. A tiny dollop of shampoo and boop, done.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I know
that is nice.
When I have like my hair short, I'll just do a little dollop of shampoo and that covers my entire being, everything. I'll just shampoo and I'm good. Just all one thing,
Yeah, before, I got these mega bottles of shampoo and conditioner, so I go through, but not now. So lasts a long time.
Saving money. You see what I'm saying? There's some silver linings right here.
I tell you, and I've been going to my hairdresser every 5 to 6 weeks for a cut and color, and he's probably crying now, bless his heart, because I did have him whenever there's so much of it falling out that I just like, okay, Blake, it's time. So to just cut it all off, and that was interesting, but yeah, when it's time, you kind of know it's time to just make it go away. And I had my wig, so I was ready to go.
Ready for it. Well, it looks good. You're back looking fresh as a daisy and ready to talk about this new laundromat fiasco. Yeah. Not fiasco, adventure. I'm going to call it an adventure. Yeah.
Yes. Opening a new laundromat while on chemo. Not something I recommend, but when it happens, you just got to roll with flow, make it happen. So,
okay. Well, let's go back to 2022 when you're looking for, were you looking for a property to put a new laundromat? Did it just fall in your lap? Like, how did that process happen?
No, we were looking. So, I'm a real estate broker. I have my broker's license. So, and I mainly just keep it for our own commercial property searching, just for such a reason. And so we've been searching the south part of town, and we wanted to buy rather than lease. It is Wichita, Kansas. Land is relatively cheap compared to the coast, and I unless it's the perfect place, I just can't bring it myself to lease. But maybe I'd rather buy the whole building and then have everybody else pay my mortgage. But anyway, so we were looking for a property. This one came up. The total building's about 8,300 square feet. And price was right. Location was right in front of an apartment complex. Like their exit, more on that later, their exit is right next to the building from, ingress and egress to the apartment complex. Heavily Hispanic neighborhood, the demographics just all fit. So, nice little mix. So we went ahead and bought that. Had the interior demoed. Wound up having to tear out all the concrete. Also, report the floor. This veterinary clinic had tile floors. Okay, fine. So we're going to take out the tile. Not a problem. Only to find another layer of tile under it. And then you get that out. And then there's big chunks of concrete missing and it's uneven and the sides. Anyway, it was just too ugly. So we had to demo the whole thing and re-pour the whole freaking floor. So as usual, cost overruns that you don't expect, right? There's another $30,000 that, if you'll remember from my first podcast on the building of our first store from the ground up, we had to put in our own fire hydrant because we're just far enough away from everybody else's fire hydrant. So I have my own $25,000 fire hydrant that I still am going to paint pink someday. I haven't painted it yet, but, and then we have to have the privilege of paying extra on the water bill every month because we have a fire hydrant that is, quote, out of district. So it's an extra like $25 a month, which irritates me to no end. But anyway, There's always the gotchas that you had no way of foreseeing. Like they made us put in a fire hydrant in our own storm sewer project. So this one's okay. Well, the concrete all has to come out because there's no way we can, because I want to put porcelain tile down. And even if I didn't put the tile down, we still add so much unevenness and, ledges and stuff. The carts would be all over the place. People would be tripping. So we were going to have to do something with it, maybe just a leveler later. But anyway, I did get my porcelain tile though. So that all came out. We had our layout, sent that to the city. By now it's 2023. Sent it to the city. We wanted all the dryers on the north end of the building, exhausting out the side of the wall. And because I don't like poking holes in a roof, I've had bad experience with having roof leaks in the existing laundromat. That my first little one that I had, roof leaked all over the place. So sent that to the city and they're like, no, you're too close to the property next door, the driveway for the apartments behind us. Apparently they let them, when the building was built and like in the veterinary clinic that we bought, like 1969 or whatever, when it was built, they let them put it right on the property line, like right on. Yeah. So it has to be at least 10 feet for anything to vent out of the building. So even though nobody's ever going to build right there. So there's actually a little alleyway and then the ingress egress driveway. So I should have gotten my city councilman involved at the time. And I feel kicking myself that I didn't, because he asked me later, he's like, well, why didn't you call me or let me know? I was like, I didn't even think of that. So we had to have plans redrawn, customer service counters now over there, dryers are over here, venting. How are we going to vent them, get fresh air and vent them in the middle of a freaking building? It's in the middle of the building. What are we going to do? How are we going to do this? Well, Mr. Engineer figured it out, bless his heart. So we wound up with makeup air from the, I think it's 8 foot overhang, 6 or 8, I think it's 8, over the sidewalk, the big soffit area there. So we have a bunch of makeup air grates there, taking it in from there through the attic and then down. So that's the makeup air. And then we had to poke holes in the roof, and that's our exhaust. So, but that whole process slowed us down 6 to 8 months, having all the plans redrawn and then submitting that to the city and going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth with the city, getting that approved. So again, we should have just scraped the whole thing and started over and built what we wanted to. Yeah. Oh, and then we bought a building that has a pitched roof. You can't put a rooftop unit on a pitched roof. So our existing laundromat, we have, there's the slant, it's flat, but slanted just below it for drainage. So we have 2 rooftop units, 2 7.5 ton units. This one, it's pitched.
Just so you're clear, we're talking air conditioning unit.
Air conditioning, I'm sorry.
I'm just
air conditioning.
Sure everybody's tracking, so that's all.
I appreciate that. Keep me on. Yep. So pitched roof is one that's like that, right? And what you really want is a flat roof or flat-ish to where you can put those great big rooftop units up on top. That's why I call them rooftop units, because they're on top. And it's harder to steal copper out of, right? So yes. Now we have, the building came with 4 residential furnace units inside the building. And for the amount of cooling that we needed for the whole building, which I might add also over the years has been, they added on some here, and then they added on a piece in the back, which is stuff that you uncover once you start knocking out walls. And we tried to figure out and try to do the forensics as much as possible before we closed on it, but you really can't knock out walls.
You can only do so much, yeah.
Owners frown upon that before you've actually bought the building. So,
weirdly.
So we had to add 2 more residential units. Now I've got 6 air conditioners, the air conditioning units that are outside in back of the building. I'm going to back up a little bit. Before we bought the building, those 4 units were actually inside. They had disconnected them and put them inside so they wouldn't be targeted. I mean, they're old units anyway, the air conditioning units, the ones that came in the building, and put them inside to keep from copper thieves from going after them. And then we put brand new ones out there. But after we closed on the building, but before we'd started any electrical or anything, we did get hit by copper thieves who We didn't have an alarm system in there yet. It was just vacant building. I mean, we hadn't even started interior demo. I think there was some interior demo, but not a whole lot yet. Busted the front door, went in, went through to the back, got all the copper from the meter, the panel inside, maybe got $10-15 worth of copper.
I was going to say, I got to how much this copper is worth, because this happens. I'm surprised you guys have it there. Obviously, we get it over here in LA.
Yeah.
I've never looked up how much copper is worth, but I need to look this up, because if this is this lucrative, I might be, going.
We may be changing careers.
Yeah, I might be going to all Ross Dodd's laundromats around here and stealing all this copper.
All right, Ross, you better add the cameras, because I think Jordan's gunning for you.
That's right.
But yeah, so we did get hit with copper thieves before we had actually put in done any of the electrical work, so it didn't hurt us any. We just had no electrical service at all there for a little bit, so we couldn't, run a fan or do whatever. When the electric company came out, they said they could tell it was an amateur job. It wasn't a professional, and they were really surprised they didn't die while they were doing it. So that is a real risk that you run. So, actually dying during, poetic justice. But
hey, listen, if the price is right, I might be willing to risk it. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how much it's worth. I don't know.
It's not worth your life, Jordan. Just don't.
Okay.
Just don't. So we do have 6 air conditioning units sitting on the ground back there. And mind you, it did have a fence. It had a chain link fence there, which they just, cut through, just set of wire cutters. I mean, I could cut through it and get through. So we are having a serious security fence put up back there now. That's actually in progress. We have a ring, one of those ring cameras with the floodlights that's hardwired, and it says, "Hello, you're being recorded," and has a siren we can turn on, and I can talk to them, and more and more like yell at them. And anyway, it notifies us if anybody's in that perimeter area. So, but we're getting that even more secure than it is right now. So that really didn't slow us down any, but made us cognizant of, I really didn't want that pitched roof. Really, really, really didn't want a pitched roof. So this reinforces the next one we're gonna build, unless it's a fairly new building that's been built and then abandoned, like a Family Dollar. You know how all the Family Dollars, so many of them are closing.
Yeah.
Great big, nice open building, fairly new build, which would be perfect. Anyway, I digress. So we had that. They didn't really slow us down, but that was an adventure. The reason they found out was somebody was driving past, called the police, saw that the front door had been smashed in, and then the police showed up and managed to track us down and call us. So that was fun. Let's see. So just little setbacks here and there. We had one of the reasons water is near and dear to Steve's heart was we had a little issue with water pressure. And I want to be very careful here. Even though the plumber had done the plumbing on our first laundromat, he wanted to use a new product, a new type of PEX on this laundromat. When your drawing calls for 2-inch copper lines, when your architectural drawings call for that, that means 2-inch OD, outer diameter of the copper. 2-inch PEX is not equal to 2-inch copper. Mm-hmm. The inner diameter of that pipe is, Steve could tell me, to the 10th of the inch. It's like 1 3/4 or 1.5 or whatever, but it's a lot less.
Yeah.
It's a lot less. And the plumber's like, "Oh, it'll be fine." And Steve's like, "No, it won't be." "Oh, yeah, it'll be fine." "No, it won't be. I want either copper. It needs to be copper because that's what the drawing says, or you're going to have to use a bigger PEX." Well, the trenches are all open. The PEX is laid. We go on vacation. Here's where the crews kind of bit us in the butt. Trench is open. We go on vacation. I think we're gone for 3 weeks in February this year. This is before this adventure happened. We come back and they've poured concrete, and it's all in there and underground and concrete. And Steve was not a happy camper. Let's just put it that way. He's still recovering. So we wound up having the plumber at his expense run the appropriate size. So that underground line now is just hot water. We have the cold water coming in overhead, which is, I know there's so many people that have overhead lines, and that's fine, but that's not the look I like. That's not the look I want. I want the clean look with nothing overhead. So I've got these great big, like 15-inch columns with the copper coming down with the cold water. I have 2 of those because we have 2 bulkheads. That was an adventure. That slowed us down too. So,
well, and that's a huge bummer because you're building from, like, one of the perks of building from scratch is you can do it how you want it, right? And if you want that clean look where you can look all the way across your store and nothing's obstructing it, and you've got those 2 columns there, and like, probably, customers probably won't know the difference really. I mean, obviously they'd probably enjoy the visual experience better if those columns weren't there, but having them there, probably not a massive deal. You're not probably losing anybody because of that, but you'll know, and that's going to bug you and Steve or
every time,
at least forever. Yeah.
We're on the cameras. We're checking the cameras. We've got one of them that's a fisheye right in the middle of the building, and everything turn and do the 360 degree. And invariably, Steve will be on there and look and goes, "Gotta hate those columns there because there'll be something right behind it. It blocks the view of the dryers or something." So it's like, I know. I will hear that the rest of my life. I understand. I hate them too.
Again, that's all.
But we had to have water, and now we know. We've learned. So it anyway, that was an adventure. Let's see what else. So the usual. I had to have a bigger electric service, gas service, water service, sewer line. The sewer main had to be bigger and better. So the front half of the 8,300 square feet is 3,000 or so. That's laundromat. Probably about 3,200. Then we've got the back half that is the pickup and delivery area. We're using the equipment on the floor right now. We did go ahead and rough in plumbing for our own OPL washers and dryers back there if we wanted to. Nice. On the south end of the building, there's another 1,000 square foot area that we've had finished out into an office area, training area, whatever we want to be, a meeting area. So it's finished out really nice and has its own thermostat and has its own address and everything. So that's another 1,000 foot. Then behind the pickup and delivery area, I mean, there's doors, obviously close it off, but then behind that is another, I don't know, probably 1,000 square feet of dog kennels, which we left those in there. So we have dog kennels.
Are you going to start breeding dogs or?
No, what they are handy for is storage. The trades really liked them when they were in there because they have they close the gate on them and lots of tools up. Yeah, they even had tops on them. So electric had one, plumbers had one, our general contractor had one. Yeah. So that was really handy. So it's it'll be nice if we ever lease out that space and they've got their own lockable area. So
it's kind of handy. Use them as laundry lockers if you ever need to. Also.
Yeah, they're not that clean. No, they do have drains, also floor drains. So as things get messy back there, we can just hose them down.
That's right.
So
the employees that aren't performing well, you can put them in there. No, don't do that.
So that back area also has its own like little kitchenette because that's where and we left that all intact. And then it has its own full bathroom. And when I say full bathroom, it's like the size of a bedroom. It's huge. And it even has a urinal. Yay. And a shower. So, I guess, after the veterinarian, after they have surgery on some little animal, they'd have to go shower up or something, but it's got its own great big, huge bathroom back there. And, so that's how it's a chopped up area, but, not the whole 8,300 square foot is not laundromat. It's divided up into different areas and different purposes. So,
yeah. What comparing your last one to this one, what are some of the lessons you like carried over from your last one? And was there anything that you're like, we wish we would have done this on the first one, so you did it on the second one?
We did go ahead and put in bollards on this one. We also tore out the front sidewalk, which is kind of old and chunky. What's really important to us is zero entry. A lot of our demographic has issues with mobility. We'll have a lot of people that, they're disabled, they're on crutches or wheelchairs, or you got moms with kids, strollers, not to mention the carts, taking the laundry carts out and it pops off the curb. We do allow people to take the carts out off the curb and back up and stuff like that. So we did go ahead and do that. We did not put bollards in on our first store. Never had a problem yet. Thank goodness. We do have parking blocks at each stall, but we did go ahead and put bollards in this one.
Explain bollards so people.
Bollards are those big things in front of a store that's like 3 foot, 4 foot tall that keep you from running into the glass in the front of your building.
Yeah, like a concrete pillar, basically.
Yeah, big old concrete pillars. Yeah. So we did go ahead and put those in. It was important that we had the overhang already there over the sidewalk, and that was nice. That's nice. So it keeps people nice and dry when they're coming in or going out. We knew we wanted to still have an automatic door just like the other one. What was something I found that wasn't as important at this one? I can't remember. Seems like there was something that I decided, I don't need that at this one. One thing we did learn, in the first one, in the restrooms, we only had tile up to like wainscoting level, like 4 foot high. Mm-hmm. And then people we only had one problem with this, but people can write their name or write stuff on the walls. Mm-hmm. We only had a problem with it for a short time until I Facebook shamed them. And it was a guy who'd been writing, a guy or a boy, I don't know. Sometimes it was pretty high up, but he's writing his name over and over again. I posted some pictures and said something about appreciate you. And I'm not usually this snarky online. I mean, in private, personally, I am, but, appreciate you wanting to practice writing your name. However, I'd appreciate it if you would come up to the front desk and we'll give you some scratch paper and some crayons and you can practice all you want to. Just don't do it on our walls anymore. And it stopped. So,
somebody's mom recognized that.
That's what I'm hoping. Yeah. As I'm hoping a mom saw, I can't believe you're doing that. So in this one, we just tiled all the way to the ceiling. So, yeah. And yes, we do have two. The photographs have been approved by Brian Grell that he does approve visually of the restrooms. And I look forward to having a free laundry day there sometime this next year to where he can see them in person and personally give him his stamp of approval. That's right. So,
I love it. I know the old bathroom test. There.
Brian Grell loves the nice clean bathrooms. So right. And they are clean. One thing you learn as a real estate agent that smells and dirt can't be seen in photographs. So it's nothing like seeing it in person.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You bought this property into 2022,
mm-hmm.
and you're just flinging the doors open August 24. So talk to me about as somebody maybe is considering doing a build out or why did it take that long? Is that normal? Did you run into issues? What was that? That
permitting, having to change the whole layout and then, which involved having the architect and then having it approved again. That was huge. Mid build, the bank we had been using suddenly decided that they didn't want to, they didn't think we were good credit risk, I don't think, or didn't believe in this location or something. But anyway, we refinanced that construction loan midstream, and I'm glad we did. So the lender we went with was able to, cost overruns, right? By that time, the price of materials continue to go up. The price of the trades, just the labor keeps going up. So what was bid might have gone over. So we had to refinance the construction loan and provide all of our numbers all over again. So our current lender is, shout out to Hill and Silcott, RC Bank here in Wichita, RCB Bank rather. I forget the B doesn't stand for bank. So RCB Bank, they've been amazing to work with and just enjoy it's hard to say that about a lender, isn't it? They've been a joy to work with. So, and as a result, we moved our other loans over to them as well. So they're getting a lot of interest from us. So anyway, but Helen's just a sweetheart.
Yeah.
So, so that slowed us down another month or two, at least. And that was in the dead of winter. That was December, January, this time frame. I think we closed in January on that loan. What else? Seems like everything was little bit here and there, every couple of weeks here, a couple of weeks there, just slide. So, well, but had we demoed the whole thing and just used our own plans, we would have had none of the existing issues, issues from the existing building, put up the rooftops the way we wanted. We're positive it would have been a lot cheaper. Not just the loan payments having to support that while we were building it from proceeds from the other laundromat, which having to pay for that, but just the overall money outlay would have been a lot cheaper. So good lesson learned. It was expensive to learn, but it's okay. We're still glad we did it. Good learning experience. So
yeah, sometimes
it's doing okay.
Sometimes those expensive lessons, make sure we learn them. And, I've made, I've learned my fair share of expensive lessons, and you better believe that those are the ones that I have for sure learned. And I've made a lot of much less expensive mistakes than the lessons I hadn't quite learned because the pain just wasn't enough.
It's one thing to make the mistake, but it's another thing not to learn from it.
That's right.
So it's okay to make the mistakes. If you don't do anything, you never make a mistake.
Yeah.
But then you don't have any successes either. So.
Yeah. Well, and I found too that a lot of times the mistakes are the things that really propel us forward if you can endure them, if you can learn from them and keep going forward, right? Like I just think of my own journey. Like I'm not here talking to you on this podcast or doing half the things I'm doing right now if I didn't persevere in that first fiasco of a laundromat that I had. I was losing a bunch of money early on, right? And like all the difficult lessons I look back on my life, in the middle of them, they're awful and horrible sometimes, and you don't want to go through them again. But when you can kind of persevere through them, a lot of times those lead to a lot of your biggest successes. So
they really do.
I see those mistakes not as something to be feared, but as something to be embraced. And I've grown a ton, mostly because of the many mistakes I've made.
Yeah, you just try not to make the same ones again. Because next time it'll be different mistakes.
That's right.
Always different.
I'm on a quest to find all of them, make all of them at some point.
Well, there you go.
So, okay. So you're building out this other location, right? At this point, you're doing the construction. Listen, anytime you're doing construction, doesn't matter if it's a laundromat, a house, apartment complex, commercial, like you're just going to have cost overruns a lot of times, and you're going to have delays a lot of times. It's going to just take some time. And it can be very frustrating, but also if you just kind of know that, it makes it less frustrating, but still frustrating a lot of times, especially the cost overruns.
Yeah, I'm always trying to have a plan B.
That's right. But so you're building this out, right? You're running your other laundromat. You're building this out. You're trying to, design it how you want it as best you can. Did you do any prep work for as it was getting close to being open? Were you doing prep work in terms of promoting it, advertising, any of that stuff? Did you wait till after? Can you talk us through that? Because one of the big concerns of opening or building a brand new one is that it's never had customers there before. And so everybody who you need to come do laundry at your brand new laundromat is doing their laundry some way. And you need them to stop doing it that way, wherever they're doing it, and come to your place to do it. So how did you go about opening this thing and making sure there's people there when you open?
Well, we knew there was demand because people kept stopping by and saying, when are you going to open? Because I hate going to XYZ, or I hate doing laundry at my apartment complex, and my laundry in there is awful. So I knew the demand. The most frustrating thing for me was saying, I'm not sure when we're going to open. Spring, maybe summer, maybe fall. I don't know. It just kept slipping. I couldn't give anybody a hard date or even close to a hard date. The closer we got, then, so I didn't do a whole lot of online promotion because I really couldn't really not even nail down a date. I couldn't even give up, maybe a quarter, And then we got to where, okay, now this month, I think we're going to open in this particular month. I mean, I was trying to tell people by 4th of July, I'd hope to be in July. Okay, well, that didn't happen. Then it was going to be August. And, I made sure everybody knew it wasn't because we didn't want to open. I seriously needed to open, but I have to have a certificate of occupancy. I can't open without that. And to have that, parking lots to be striped and this has to happen. We have to, that darn government, they have to bless it, kind of make them the bad guy, which somewhat was the case. But, so as we got closer, then I was, occasionally I would put Facebook posts up. I wasn't doing any boosted posts, but I have one Facebook page for both the locations. I don't have separate ones. So I would put up a post saying, well, here's our progress. Here's what it looks like inside. Here's what these machines are going to look like. We got our flooring down. I've got shelving up. So that was fun. I got to tell this story. So I was looking for shelving to put our product on because we sell soap over the counter. We're fully attended. I don't have any vending machines. I have a refrigerator, like a glass door merchandising machine like you would have at a convenience store, refrigerator, that people will take their snacks and drinks, take them to the counter. We have that at the other store. I wanted to do the same thing here. It promotes the customer employee interaction. Also, I don't like the moving parts of any vending machines. And I'm not going to give a vending machine company any, split off of my square footage. I'm going to own that machine and we're going to stock it and we're going to get the profit out of it. But I need shelves to put the soap and stuff in. At the other store, I was able to find a counter off of like Craigslist or something like that. So we have a glass display case. It's right under the POS system and you can pick what product you want, just point it out and we hand it to you and you pay for it. So over here, I didn't have that. So I'm looking for shelving. And I saw a post from Habitat for Humanity's Restore store here in town. And they had this beautiful shelving that had just been donated. And I love Brighton jewelry. And I love Brighton purses. They're too expensive though, but I do have pieces of Brighton jewelry and some keychains and stuff like that. And I recognize that signature heart at the top of the shelving units. I was like, oh, that looks like Brighton. So next day I'm over there and I bought all the shelving. Turned out it did come from a Brighton boutique that had recently closed. So I'm the only laundromat, I bet, that has Brighton shelving for display. So we have all that, and it's fancy. And you know what? Who's your target demographic? It's women. Women with families and kids. Yeah, you want the guys in there too, but your target demographic's women, and they want to see something nice and pretty and stuff. And I liked it. So,
speaking of which, you want me to send a picture of myself over to you? Speaking of nice and pretty. If you want to hang that up, you let me know. You're missing
the point here, Jordan. That ain't it. No. Okay. So maybe the nice part. Yeah. So I have Brighton shelving, and if you look at our website, theconversationchaos.com, and then locations, go to Seneca. I've got pictures of that. I don't have professional photos yet. I'm working on some signage. When I've got all my interior signage complete and then signage on the front windows, then I'll have a professional photographer come out and take pictures. And I can't stress that enough. I think I said that on the first podcast. It's not that expensive to have just a local photography company come take pictures. Find somebody who does real estate photography. Chances are they do commercial. It's less than $200, and they'll come and put your store in the best light possible. Again, smells and dirt don't show in photos. So don't worry about if it doesn't smell perfect or you got a little hairball over in the corner. It's not going to show up, but it'll look amazing online. So right now the Seneca pictures are just pictures I've taken with my cell phone. So better than nothing. So I get to talking and I forget where we were. What was the original question? I got the shelving in there. You have to look at your notes too, don't you? You don't remember.
Like, what was the original? I don't know. That was a long time ago now. No, I mean, going back real quick, like I love the little touches, right? Of, finding like the Brighton shelving, and I've seen pictures obviously, and I kind of watched the saga, as you were kind of going through it too. And so
I didn't put half of it up online.
I'm sure. I've seen that, right? But just the thoughtfulness and all of that you guys have put into your build out and all that stuff, and you've got the logo mats and all that stuff. Everything's well branded, like in the seating you have in there, all that. I love just the thought that you guys have put into the design.
And then a kids area. I've got the kids table and the little chairs and the bookcase with the kids' books. So place over there. What's fun is so often I see kids at the Seneca store, at this new store, sitting down at that table and actually reading books. And I rarely see that at the other store. Like, this is a more literate group down at the Seneca store, I guess. I don't know. But I really don't see that much. They tend to just destroy them and tear them up at the Oliver store. But at Seneca, they're actually reading the books. So it's like, yay, they're going to grow up and learn to read. So
I'm scrolling through pictures of your mat right now. I'm seeing shelves. They're really pretty, actually.
So they look kind of boring. Just when I first put them in there, it's just the walls are all white. Because I wanted that as like a blank palette. So then when I put the signage up, it makes it pop a little bit more. Right. And white, bright, everything is light. We have a hard deck, so sheetrock ceiling. We don't have drop ceiling. And then the tile. I did learn that from the other store. I went with the whitest tile you could get at the other store, the white porcelain tile, which is amazing when it's clean. Mm-hmm. But as soon as you have a rainstorm and anybody tracks in dirt, it looks gross. People will still say, "Oh, this is so clean," and I'm like, I see every little speck and every little bit of dirt. So I learned from that. So I went more with the. If you look at the pictures of the Wilfords, the wash house, the 2x4 tiles that's white background but gray and brown stripes in it. Yeah, that's more what ours looks like. It still looks clean, but first time somebody tracks in stuff, it's not blatantly obvious.
Yeah. I did the same thing. I did a light, like an epoxy. Really, it wasn't white, but it was like a light gray. And I was like, it'll be great because it'll show dirt and we'll just keep it clean. Like, it'll be great. But what I found was there's just so many people are coming in and out, even if it doesn't, like, it never rains here. Even if it doesn't rain, like people are just dirt, like our feet are dirty, the sidewalks are dirt, like, and it just tracks in, and it's just impossible. And especially over time, it's just impossible to keep that white all the time. So that light gray-ish with some striping in there, like some wood grain striping and stuff, just
I think that's ideal. Seems to work well. So I went with the white walls, and then I put the shelving in there. It's the gray metal. And it's this doesn't really pop. I probably should paint that back wall an accent color or something. Then we put all the product on it. I was like, oh, I'm glad I didn't paint it, because you got the orange Tide bottles and the green Game bottles and blue bottles and all sorts of purple Suavitel bottles, and there's plenty of color there.
Yeah, and I'll put the link for anybody who wants to go check it out on the show notes page, laundrystationks.com. But I'll put it on the show notes page there. And if you go to the Seneca location, there's a bunch of photos she's got on there. It looks really sharp. Bathroom looks good.
Yeah, and a bathroom photo. Yeah. So, but I'll have professional ones put up probably next month or two when I get the signage finished and get them scheduled. Yeah. So that's common.
So I remembered as you were talking what we were originally talking about, and it was like, how are you getting people coming to your store? That's where we started. Yeah.
Yeah. So posts on Facebook. When I found the Brighton shelving, I put that up. Mm-hmm. Then when we were getting close, I had new signage put it up. I took pictures of them, putting the pole sign up, with the crane and everything outside. And, so just little status updates occasionally. And then once we did finally open, then I was doing some paid Facebook posts, which I do myself. I don't pay a marketing company to do it. But, and then I just draw a radius around my store and maybe any place else I want to target to let them know that, yes, we're open now. And then let word of mouth handle it as well. But that's the only notices that I've done so far. I'm literally in the process of scheduling we did join the Chamber of Commerce, we're members. We're going to have a ribbon cutting next month. Tentatively, it's October 23rd. We have Wichita Regional Chamber of Commerce ribbon cutting, and they'll promote it as well. And then we will probably, so I'd like to have it sooner, but I have to schedule it for when am I going to be recovered enough from chemo, from the October 7th chemo to actually do it and have any energy and be able to think. So October 23rd seems to work best with all the other scheduling issues. Then probably we'll have a grand opening, I think maybe in November. I'm not quite sure when, but because then my manager's off on a week of vacation, and then I need her back in there for the grand opening. And then we'll do, we'll have food and we'll have T-shirts and I don't know, face paintings or whatever you normally do for that sort of thing. But then by November, the weather will probably be horrible because, it's Kansas. So anyway, but that's a little ways down the road. Kind of letting word of mouth handle it also. I am amazed at how many people have been driving, like as the crow flies, it's about 5 miles or so. The new store is from the old one, but how many people have been, live in that area where a new store is, and they've been driving over to the other store all this time. They will drive past about 3 of the laundromats to come see us. Yeah. So they're, I'm so glad that you're here. And another interesting thing is we'll ask them, well, where did you used to do your laundry before you came here? Because now this is your new favorite place, but where did you used to do laundry? Mm-hmm. And it's not just been one location. It's been, and not just other laundromats. When you put in a new store, you always forget about the customers that are doing their laundry right now at their apartment complexes. Mm-hmm. And typically really crappy laundry rooms where sometimes the equipment works. It's not clean. You might have like one washer for, a bazillion people. You forget about those people because those aren't the ones you see in laundry. When you go past other laundromats and you count cars, how many people do they have? You don't see those. So we do have that large apartment complex behind us. All those people will walk over to use us, and they're thrilled. They don't have to get in the car and go anywhere, and they don't have to use their apartment laundry room. So just figure out make it sound simple, right? Your target market, who are your target customers? Where do they live? Where are they currently doing laundry at? And then, your aim's not to you don't really want to shut, unless it's a crappy zombie mat, trademarked by Brand Grill. You really don't want to shut down anybody. You just want to provide a better laundry experience and draw from everywhere. And I think we've been doing that. So it's been fun.
That's awesome. I mean, I think you're right. It's like, it's a matter of serving an underserved area, right? Well, exactly. Brings me to the question, which I guess it's kind of backtracking, but it's also kind of relevant to what you're talking about right now. When you were looking at locations and stuff, why did you pick this specific location, or how did you know this specific location was going to be a good one for a laundromat?
Well, I have a map of Wichita where I've got little push pins of every laundromat in town, and then numbers that correlate to a spreadsheet, because Steve geeks out on his engineering stuff and I geek out on the business end of it. He likes to build them. I like to run them. Yeah. So it works well together. So I just looking at, okay, where is there a big gap in a good quality laundromat? What is an underserved area? What is an area that has a demographic that I feel would be well served? And I can't underestimate boots on the ground. You can look at stuff on a map all you want to in different cities around, but get in the car and go drive it. Go in the grocery store. Go in the, the gas station, the quick trips around here. Go in and ask people, where's the nearest laundromat? Just kind of ask, what's the awareness? What's their impressions of things? What's the demographic that's at that grocery store? At those Dollar Trees and Dollar Generals and stuff. What do the houses look like? And if you're a realtor, I think you've looked at stuff enough that you realize, oh, that's about the $50,000 price range. That's about $100,000 price range. That was built in the 50s. That was built in the 60s. You can usually tell by how many garages they've got. If it's no car garage, single car, 2-car. Now standard is 3-car garage on no builds, right? New builds with a 4th car optional. Anyway, it's kind of interesting how you see those. But drive around the neighborhoods. How do the yards look? What do the cars look like? Does everybody have bars in the windows? Do they have front yards are fenced? No trespassing signs around? There are kids' toys in the yard. You kind of get a feel of the people that live in that area. So, and but this wasn't the only area we've looked at. We've looked all over the place, and we'd like to probably put in 2 to 3 more in the Wichita area, and we do have areas that we're interested in. So we're in the looking phase for the other areas. We're going to build the customer base for this one, but always with the eyes towards the next build. Right back because we are gluttons for punishment, and we're both crazy now. That's right. So.
Well, you caught the bug. That's the problem.
I
get all these like coaching clients and stuff who come in and they're like, yeah, I want to buy a laundromat. And then we get them a laundromat and they're hooked. They're like, oh yeah, go get another one. Like I'm like, yeah, you got the bug. Like it's hard once you get
because it's so passive, right?
Yeah.
I had to say that. That's a joke. It's a really big joke. It's passive.
Yeah. Well, and especially building one out. That doesn't sound like it's really passive for you guys.
Yeah.
One other question about the build out that I had was, what about machines? Like, how do you know, like, what size machines, what kind of mix, how many of each kind? Can you talk about how you kind of went about that process? Because I think that's another. I mean, there's a ton of like nuances that you got to kind of.
Yeah.
All these pieces that you got to kind of fit together to make just the right business, right? And when you're building out from scratch. So this is just another one of those like pretty key things of like, what equipment do I put in? How big? How many of each? All that. So what did you guys do, and how did you think about that?
So the first one was, I think, probably the hardest because we didn't have anything to go by. The second one we based off of machine usage on the first one. So we do have Speed Queen, currently have all touch equipment at both stores. And with the Insights, or I'm sure other equipment vendors have the similar thing, but you have programs where you can see how often do those machines run, how many turns do you have per day, per day, per week, per month, which ones are your most heavily used, what's the favorites. So the first store was more like, it's kind of a crapshoot. I mean, everybody likes the bigger machines. And we have no top loads in any of our stores. So we have the first store, we have the 2-load, 4-load, or, a load's considered 10 pounds. So 20 pound, 40 pound, 60 pound, 80 pound, and 100 pound. We have a total of 30 washers, and then we have a total of 35 dryer pockets. So we've kind of figured out what we wanted there, and I think that was a really good mix. I'm glad we did what we did. We probably would have put in a couple more 40s. 40 is a sweet spot, and that's the one people wait for on Sunday afternoons. Sunday afternoon's your busiest time. You need the throughput. So the other store, we're like, okay, we know these 5 sizes work. I went ahead and went with 4 sizes. I skipped the hundreds, and I'm already wondering if I'd made a mistake. But anyway, I probably should put hundreds in down there too. But we went with 20s, 40s, 60s, and 80s. I've only got 24 machines down there instead of 30. And only because I happened to cram the layout into my washer and dryer layout into an existing building. Yeah. That's how we wound up doing it. And I've got the bulkheads broken up into 2 pieces. The 60s and the 80s are over here on this side. And then the 20s and 40s are here with an aisle between them. So when you walk in, you can walk straight through and go to the dryers. But more importantly, we don't have just one row, and then you pick a washer in the middle and you got to go all the way around one end or the other. So it's just kind of a flow thing. What's more convenient to get back to the dryers. I start with 20s in my store. We also do drop off. So that's for drop off usage as well. There's another school of thought, which I like also, which the smallest machine you have in your store would be 30s. But then you can get a higher vend price. They don't cost that much more than 20s. Then 20s and then 40s, or 30s and then 40s. But 40s are so close in size to 30s. I don't know. I like the 20s because I always think like my mom and me is also, you've got this little dab of stuff that you want to bleach, but then you got everything else that you want to wash. And older ladies, like my mom was always like that too. Gosh, I guess I'm an older lady now too. But you got a little dab of stuff. You don't want to pay, for a 4-load machine to bleach your stuff just for that one little dab. So you get to use 2 machines now instead of just one. So I do have 20s in there. Probably should have went with 2 less 20s and put in a couple hundreds instead. But we do have plenty of 40s. I think that was important. That's the sweet spot. And then 460s and 280s in there. So yeah, people like their bigger machines. And then whenever I'm, looking at machine usage right now, like the live view of what's being used, the big ones are always being used. So yeah, it's kind of you get a feel for it, right?
Yeah. It's always interesting to hear, talk to different people about how they think about machine mix, because I mean, like you said, there's a lot of different sort of philosophies of machine mix and number of machines and stuff like that, right? Some people still do put in, even brand new, put in top loaders in because they are like, hey, I have customers who want them, so I'll put them in. Right.
Yeah. And they want them because they don't know they can do better.
More and more people are saying, why would we put them in? They cost more money to run. They vend for less. They break down more often. Yada, yada, yada. Yeah. They make a bigger mess. Like all the reasons I hated top loaders. And
I think locally the vend price tends to go about $250 for a top loader. So, hey, I can put a whole week's worth of laundry, a whole month's worth even, in one top loader and get it done for $250. Yeah, and then you're cramming it. That agitator, the thing underneath at the bottom, breaks because it's made of plastic these days, and the agitator won't agitate anymore, and then it doesn't get clean. But they're super cheap, and you don't have to have them hardwired. You just have an outlet and you plug them in. So I get it. The attraction's there. If you're limited on budget for machines, I get it. But man, I'm not going there.
I know. Well, and I too, it's interesting too, because you said, hey, the 40 is the sweet spot. We put a bunch of 40s in.
Yeah.
And then you've got, it's been a long time since Brandon Understall has been on, which Brandon, you need to come back on. I need to call you, dude. But he's like, we don't do 40s because it takes away from the 60s, and people put 60 pounds worth of clothes into 40s and they're cramming it in and yada, yada, yada. And, so I always like to hear just how different people are thinking about it. And there's not one kind of magic bullet. There's not one solution.
There's not.
And I think hearing how different people think about it helps us as we're like each of us as we're trying to figure out our own machine mixes and all that, how to think about that. So thank you for sharing all that too.
And they like the bigger dryers too. So we've got 5, each store has 5 75-pound dryers. So, you can get 2 big old comforters in there and dry them, and they'll dry well. But yeah, there's different schools of thought there. Another fun fact, water fact that my engineering husband would share. A top load washer uses about the same amount of water as a 60-pound hard mount washer extractor. So that's a lot of water.
That's a lot of water.
That's a lot of water.
Dang.
I don't know if that's one fill or if that's the whole wash and then 2 rinses, but he has spreadsheets on this. Of course, he has spreadsheets on this. So he can talk in depth about that.
Yeah, and they're probably extracting less of that water than the 60-pounders are, so the dryers take longer.
So you get more dry time, but then, so you get more quarters in the dryer, but what's the last thing somebody remembers when they leave, unless your attendant's surly? How long did it take to dry it?
Yep.
Usually. Unless they're the person that puts in a whole bunch of quarters, or in our case, uses the app, sets it to 2 hours and then goes and does their grocery shopping and comes back. And they don't really pay attention to the price. I'm like, okay, well, thank you. I'll take it.
Yeah. Well, you got to do what you
I'll take your money.
Yeah. Well, you've been open just a few weeks now.
Yeah,
maybe
4 weeks.
Yeah, about a month. How has business been so far?
So far, so good. So far, so good. It steadily continues to increase each week, even though I haven't been able to advertise. I haven't been able to be down there as much as I wanted to be. When we first opened the first store, Steve and I worked every single hour for the first probably at least 3 months until I finally found somebody to at least open for us on the weekends so we could sleep in a little bit. But we worked that store ourselves a lot. So you get to meet and greet, you go help people in and out, and you get to talk to them and, kind of build that rapport. This store, it's just been me going in and out, usually without a wig on and just a ball cap. And everybody's like, who's that freakish woman with no hair? So I'm looking forward to feeling better enough that I can go down there. I still get tired really easily. Usually by this time of day, I'm about to fall over, but so I have plenty of energy. We're doing good. But being able to go in there on a Saturday, on a Sunday, visit with people, put my polo shirt on, my name tag, and hey, how you doing? How'd everything turn out for you? Is everything clean and dry like it's supposed to be? And then, I'm the owner, and just listen to them visit with me, and just build that rapport. I think that's really important, and I have not been able to do that yet, but it's still growing. Hopefully it'll grow faster once I can get down there and schmooze. But like I said, we're fully attended, and I'm trying to get my attendants to get out from behind the counter. That's hiring in the laundromat world is a whole nother podcast. Wow. You got some that are rock stars and some that, they're real close to getting fired. Right. So, go out and do your job. Yeah. And part of that job is to go visit with the customers and build that rapport with them.
And it's a huge part too, right? Because that whole kind of overall experience is so important, how people feel about your business, right?
Yeah.
Like that's really kind of what we're selling too, is how people feel when they leave. Like I shouldn't say nobody wants to do laundry. Some people like doing laundry.
I love laundry.
A lot of laundry.
I love doing laundry.
Weird.
But
most people don't.
We established at my level of crazy. Being
right.
This podcast, so
But most people don't. But if you can make them feel good, despite having to do laundry, like that's a big deal, right? People do that. And that's our business model, is to be fully attended, to be. Our counters at either store, we're not even set up to where we could be unattended. There's no pull down bars or cage or anything. It's walk right behind the counter and grab product, and there's the POS system and everything. So somebody has to be there. So if you're there, go clean something and talk to the customers. Yeah.
So,
Awesome. Well, this has been awesome. Thank you again for taking the time to come and catch us up and share your experience in building out the laundromat, of course, but also, with the personal update. And I'm so glad to hear that you are kicking butt, taking names.
I am.
Right now. Let's keep that train rolling. We'll be, saying prayers for you, continued, health and longevity, and get this thing up and running so you can go find another one so you can come back.
Absolutely.
Share about that one too.
I appreciate it. Well, thank you so much for having me on, Jordan. So I've been waiting to announce it. So this is probably the first for you. You've probably never had anybody do a cancer announcement and a public service announcement like that on your podcast. And this is the way I wanted to kind of let everybody know all at once and tell them all the same story at once. And so
definitely the first over here. But thank you. Yeah. And also I'm pretty sure the first time anybody's ever pulled their hair off here. Also.
I know. Well, I thought about saying, you asked me, well, what was it like building a new laundromat? And I'd be like, I pulled all my hair out. It was awful. So, but, I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
It seems like it sometimes though.
I can imagine. Yeah, I can imagine. Well, thank you again. And, tell Steve also, thank you for, all the support, for you and in that build out and stuff. And, I know like he's not getting any of the glory because here you are, on screen.
He doesn't want it. He's very much in the shadows kind of guy.
But I do want to acknowledge, his contribution, not just to your laundromat, but also just to the industry in general. Him sharing his wisdom and stuff too, is at the conferences and all that stuff. So we appreciate you guys. We love you guys, and continue praying for you guys and health and wellness and all that. And again, thank you for coming on. You obviously are welcome here anytime you want. You just say the word.
Well, I'll tell you what, in the spring, when I got a little bit of hair back and looks completely different, we'll do it again.
We'll go on. Yeah, I love it. Maybe I'll shave my head then, and then we can.
Heck yeah.
Do a comparison on head shape.
There you go.
I don't know that my head can. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that'd be a good look for me. We'll see. Yeah.
You never know until you try it. So give it a shot.
That's a good point. Well, thank you again. Appreciate it. And we'll talk soon.
Thank you for having me on, Jordan. I appreciate it.
Anytime. All right. I hope you enjoyed that episode with Sharon Brinks. Huge shout out and thank you to her for coming on and sharing not just like a gold mine of information on laundromat build outs and operations, but also for coming on and being vulnerable and sharing what's going on with her, and not only telling us, but also showing us, which was great. Her Heisenberg look was my highlight for me of that episode. So if you're listening to this, you might want to go check out the YouTube video and see the big reveal there. But listen, this is a community. This is my big action step takeaway. Pick something for you, but this is mine. This is a community. This industry is not that big. So being able to do things like this, share what's going on with us personally, we're building these relations, we're getting to know one another, and supporting each other through life, right? And I have said this before, but laundromats are great, and I love laundromats, but they're a vehicle to help us build life, right? They become a big part of our lives for a lot of us. But life is more than just that. So it was great to actually be able to just share life together with Sharon. So thank you again, Sharon, for coming on and doing that. Feel free to reach out to her if you want to encourage her, support her in her journey. And just a reminder, let's be there for each other. This, like I said, is a community and an opportunity for us to be there for one another. All right. That's it for today. I will see you next week. Peace.